Good morning, everyone. We want to piggyback off of one of the episodes that we had recorded where we talked about childhood trauma. We wanted to go more in detail about that. And so I had mentioned, Dad, that, I felt like I used my experiences in a negative way. It impacted me negatively. To where I felt bound, I felt like I couldn't do anything, stuff like that. And so I mentioned the word suicidal. And so I just wanted to elaborate on what I meant. So when I was sexually abused as a child, I felt like, at first I was more outgoing, things like that. But then when that happened to me, I felt like I became more of an introvert. And I kind of dwelt on the abuse a lot. I remember being in class, I couldn't even pay attention. I would just lay there, or I would sleep. And my mind always went back to me being abused and the feeling that I had, when those moments had taken place. And of course, I didn't think about telling my parents because I was afraid. I didn't know. I thought I would get in trouble, really. I didn't, I didn't know what was appropriate and what was not. Because I don't feel like I was taught that. I'm not sure, but I don't remember being taught, hey, don't allow someone to do this to your body, things like that. So that's why I'm about educating, my children now, so that they know what's appropriate touching and things like that. So anyhow, so as I got older, I became promiscuous. I lost my virginity at a very young age. And at that point, I felt like I wanted to be accepted. Friends of mine were doing it. So I said, okay, well, on this date, this special date, I'm going to do this too. And I did that, not knowing that it was also, because of that childhood trauma, that it was easy for me to be able to lose my virginity at a young age as well. And so after that, I kind of used sex, if I can be honest, as a coping mechanism for myself. I was very promiscuous throughout my college experience. And I used sex as a vice, really. That's where I felt, I just felt like that's what the men wanted. That's what the guys wanted. They just wanted my body, and I was used to giving that, so it wasn't something that was new to me. But every time I would do it, I felt so depressed. I felt down and out. I felt like I couldn't have a successful relationship. I felt like it was all about, just having sex with someone to relieve, the emotional pain that I was feeling at the time. It's probably hard for you to hear this on that.
Yeah, I'm just letting you flow. I'm gonna trying to let my thoughts, subside, so to speak. I got something to say about that. But,
okay.
You got the floor.
So anywho, so I didn't know how to have a successful relationship with a man. And so for me, I thought if I gave myself to someone, sexually, that was it, basically. I didn't know how to connect mentally, emotionally, spiritually, none of that. I just knew, okay, I knew how to have sex, that's it. And so anyhow, I would just get depressed, and during one of those depressive times, I remember, I became suicidal. And I remember I was in my dorm room this one particular time, and I had gotten a shower, and I cut off my hair. My hair was probably in the middle of my back at that time, and I cut it all the way to my shoulders. And those that attended that church, with me at the time, they probably remember this. One of the ladies at the church, she actually did my hair after that service. Like, I went to church looking crazy. And I had left the dorm and went to my mentor's house, which they're so amazing. They still live in Atlanta now. And, I went to church looking all crazy, hair in this crazy ponytail. So uneven. But after church, my mentors had asked someone on the praise team who did hair if she can, straighten my hair and cut it evenly for me. But when I did that, I felt like, maybe these guys won't like me anymore because I don't have long hair anymore. Being in the South, not a lot of, at that time at my school, there weren't a lot of mixed girls that had hair like mine. So So I had already stood out, and I felt like, okay, if I chop it off, I'm not going to stand out anymore. Nobody will want me, you know, that kind of thing. And then I remember, I don't know if that was the same time, but there was another incident where, and I did a spoken word about it out in California, but there was a time where I had left the dorm room, and I told myself I was going to go jump off the bridge near the Georgia Dome. And so I was walking by myself, you know, in my area, you know, HBCUs, you know, were predominantly in, I don't want to say dangerous areas, but, you know, more in inner city project type of areas around the school. And they're building them up now. But anyhow, so I'm walking by myself behind my college. And then this random man came. You know, he looked pretty crazy. And, you know, he looked like he was up to no good, really. He came to me all close. Hey, little mama, what you doing? And I was telling him, I said, I'm going to go jump off that bridge. That was so blunt. And he was like, wait, you can't do that. You know, and he stopped talking to me like, you know, he wanted to, you know, get with me, and was like, he walked with me like to protect me. It was really weird. And I felt like he was like my guardian angel for the night. And so anyhow, I remember walking, I proceeded to walk near the bridge, and then he started to sing to me, and he took me to Centennial Park, where a lot of homeless people live. And he told this homeless guy, he said, this girl wants to end her life. And this homeless guy sat next to me. He said, you don't want to do that. He said, look at me. Look at my situation. He said, I'm worse off than you are. He was like, please don't do that. And so it was crazy, you know, getting counsel from, I don't want to say the lowest of the low, but in society, they were the lowest of the low. These homeless people, you know, they didn't have anything. And he was encouraging me. I'm in college, about to get a bachelor's degree. You know, I had accomplished a lot, you know, studied abroad and different things. It's crazy. It was worse off than me, but he was able to encourage me and tell me, you know, don't do it. So I remember we proceeded to just walk around, you know, downtown Atlanta, just to get my mind off of everything. But this man literally stayed with me for hours to make sure that I did not hurt myself. And we ended up taking a bus. It was late, and I had some money on me, so I bought him a sandwich and bought myself something, and we ended up taking the bus back to the AUC. And then it was like the same way he came to me, he left the same way. We were on the same exact street. He said, okay, you know, take care, you'll be all right. And just left. You know, he's like, you sure you don't want to go with me? And I'm like, no, it's okay. And then he left, and I went back to my dorm. But I always had crazy encounters where it's like I wanted to hurt myself, and then all of a sudden God brought someone to rescue me, you know, to tell me that, you know, your story doesn't end here. You know, there's more to your situation. Yeah, so I just wanted to elaborate on that, how childhood traumas do affect you as you get older and impact the decisions that you make. And for me, it happened to be in a negative way.
Well, America, most of this I'm hearing for the first time. So, as a father, a loving father at that, I may not show on my face, probably because I know I'm on camera, but it's very, very painful and disturbing to hear, you know, about some of these exploits. But let that be an example to you. That's why you should never judge people. You never judge a book by its cover. That's why that old saying is what it is, that, you know, you treat people, you know, how you want to be treated, because you just never know. You may be entertaining an angel. And in this case, it was a situation where it was a saving grace for my daughter, for me, because I doubt that I would have been able to survive the prison experience had her life ended prematurely in there. I don't know what that would have done to me. Hard enough dealing with the separation. A lot of this stuff I'm still processing. I know I'm going to need to try and elaborate on later, at a later date. When I look at her today, I don't, you know, I see a child of God. I don't see my child that was in college getting a freak on. I didn't, you know, I don't know where that came from. I'd heard, a couple of things that she'd mentioned to me in the visiting area when she was in college. But, as a father, I, try to dismiss it. But I'm hearing for the first time more in depth in regards to some of her activities. There's a lot of anger in me, but it's mainly geared towards myself, again, for being absent, for not being someone there to kind of not only a shoulder to lean on, but as a protector. I can't say that the abuse may not have occurred because I don't know who the individual was. I wasn't there. I don't know the situation or the scenario. But all I can say is, some things in her life definitely would have been better. Some things may have been worse based on my mentality and my lifestyle at the time, the things that I was exposed to my family to. So I'm learning right along with most of you. You know what I'm saying, with how she coped with her pain and her frustration and her reality. Because that's what it was. It was her reality. She was dealing with a lot. She was shouldering a lot, and she used it as her outlet.
Yeah, I feel like I hated myself. It was really bad. Just my perception of myself. Like I couldn't see what everyone else saw. Oh, she's beautiful. She's this. She's that. But I didn't see it. I just had so much self-hatred for me. I felt like the abuse was my fault, things like that. Like I did this to myself, but I didn't, And there are really, chemical imbalances that kids have when they are abused. There's really something chemically, in your makeup, in your brain that goes off, that's no longer there, because you were exposed to something at an age where you weren't supposed to be, or your body doesn't know how to process that. So for me, it developed really a sexual addiction, really is what it was. And I hated myself for that. I felt like I could not stop, basically, having sex. It was that bad. That was my grace. That was my coping mechanism. And, God has since freed me. But as I said before, I had to do some work. I had to go through counseling and prayer and,
Well, right now, I need God to free me of this car. And I'm hearing about all this, but this is hit me in places that I wasn't expecting to be getting hit in this morning.
Dad, how would I tell you this in the visiting room where I only had 3 hours with you? I wanted to make it the best possible, Like I wouldn't tell you that kind of stuff.
No, I guess there really is no good time. I'm out here now. I'm a free man.
I wanted to make your business happy.
There was no good time to hear about this. As a father, there is no good time. So you have to do like you're doing. You just have to blurt it out. And as a parent, you got to be receptive to it. When your child comes to you and has something to say, you got to be willing to listen to it, no matter how harsh, no matter how painful, no matter how disturbing it may be. It's just something that they have to get off of their chest. I wish he maybe had sent me a text this morning, let me know what the subject matter was.
I really didn't even think about it. I thought about our last episode, and I said, well, it can't really end there. I think we should elaborate on what those childhood traumas entailed, and how that developed me. Eventually, you'll share yours, but I think that's something that needs to be talked about, because a lot of families do shy away from talking to their children about sex, or talking to their children about abuse and appropriate touching. It's usually people that are closest to you that are doing these things, to children. And that's something I've learned through my studies with the different organizations that I've worked with. My background is social work, so I learned these things, and also through like I said, getting my own counseling and stuff like that. But yeah, it's like taboo. People really don't want to talk about this stuff, but it happens more often than not. So it needs to be told. It really does. Like my dad, like you said, Dad, when your child is acting out in a way, a way that you didn't raise them, then maybe you should double check to make sure, your child is okay. Talk with your child, as you said. Also, keep the line of communication open. You want your children to be able to come to you and talk to you. And if you as an adult have, been abused and you haven't worked through your stuff, it's hard for you to be open about it if your child were to come to you with the same exact issue, because you haven't dealt with your own stuff. So I encourage parents, to deal with your own childhood traumas, because you don't know what your own child is going through. You don't know how to protect them. You may not be open to hearing them out because you haven't dealt with your own issues. So I encourage you as parents, deal with your issues so that you can be in a healthy emotional and mental state to help your child through something that they may be going through.
Well, thank God that we've reached our destination. I need to go find me a punching bag, so we will get back to you at a later date, which won't be in the not so distant future. All right.